There are moments, rare, electric, when time folds in on itself, when a face from the past suddenly appears in the present, and you forget to breathe. It was a Saturday in July. The sun bathed the All England Club in gold. The world was watching tennis. But what they saw was a ghost. Not a literal one, not a haunting, but a reflection so sharp, so unexpected, that millions of people felt a collective pause. Because there, in the royal box, sat a little girl who looked like she had stepped out of a photograph from 40 years ago. Her name is Charlotte. She is 9 years old, and she is wearing her grandmother's smile. The 2026 Wimbledon final was supposed to be about tennis, about Jannik Sinner's rise, about history being written on grass. But history had other plans. Prince William and Catherine, the Prince and Princess of Wales, brought their 2 eldest children, George, 11, and Charlotte, 9, to center court. Family day. A normal day by royal standards. Except nothing about Charlotte that afternoon was normal. She wore a bright blue midi dress with ruffled sleeves. It was cheerful, youthful, innocent, and yet, for anyone old enough to remember the 1980s, it was a thunderbolt. Because that dress, that exact silhouette, was a whispered echo of Princess Diana's most dazzling evening gown. The one she wore to a charity ball in Sydney, just 2 years after she became a princess. The one that made the world fall in love with her all over again. Coincidence? Maybe. But the royal family doesn't do coincidences. Not like this. Let's rewind. Sydney, March 1983. Princess Diana was 22 years old. She was young, radiant, and already trapped in a gilded cage. Her marriage to Prince Charles was beginning to crack, but the cameras didn't know that yet. All they saw was a woman who danced with her husband under chandeliers, wearing a Bruce Oldfield masterpiece. Blue as the Pacific, ruffled like waves, threaded with silver that caught every flashbulb. She was the people's princess before the people even knew they needed one. That night, she wasn't just a royal. She was a dream, a fairy tale that the world was desperate to believe in. 43 years later, her granddaughter sat in the royal box at Wimbledon, dressed in a daytime version of that same dream. The ruffle sleeves, the structured shoulders, the soft blue hue. It wasn't a costume. It wasn't a tribute. It was, if you believe in such things, a conversation across time. And the internet exploded. But here's what makes this moment truly extraordinary. Prince William and Catherine have never publicly commented on Charlotte's resemblance to Diana. They have always gently steered the narrative toward William himself, saying Charlotte looks like her father as a child. And that's not a denial. That's protection. Because for William, Diana isn't a legend. She's a wound. He was 15 when she died. 15. Old enough to remember her laugh. Old enough to remember her hugs. Old enough to remember the empty bedroom. So when he sees Charlotte in a blue dress, when he sees that flash of his mother in his daughter's face, he doesn't see a fashion moment. He sees a memory. Painful, beautiful, impossible memory. In 2017, William sat down for a documentary about his mother. He was asked how he keeps her alive for his children. We've got more photos up around the house now of her, and we talk about her a bit. It's hard because obviously Catherine didn't know her, so she cannot really provide that level of detail. I regularly put George and Charlotte to bed, talk about her, and just try to remind them that there are 2 grandmothers. There were 2 grandmothers in their lives, so it's important that they know who she was and that she existed. That's the heart of this story. It's not about the dress. It's not about the ruffles. It's not even about Wimbledon. It's about a father who lost his mother too soon, and a daughter who will never meet her, but who carries her in ways no photograph could capture. Charlotte didn't choose that dress to make a statement. She's 9. She probably just liked the color. But that's the magic of legacy. It doesn't need intention. It just needs presence. And on that July afternoon in the royal box, Princess Diana was present. Not as a ghost, as a reflection, as a quiet reminder that love doesn't end. It evolves. It moves from mother to son, from son to daughter, from heart to heart, across decades and dresses and Wimbledon finals. William didn't cry. He didn't flinch. But his eyes held something ancient. A recognition, a goodbye, a hello. They say that fashion is cyclical, that everything old becomes new again. But this wasn't about fashion. This was about memory, about a little girl who will never know her grandmother, but who somehow, in the arch of her eyebrow, in the tilt of her head, in a blue dress with ruffled sleeves, reminds the entire world of who she was. Prince William once said he wants his children to know that there were two grandmothers in their lives. And on that sunny day at Wimbledon, it felt like both of them were there. One in spirit, one in flesh. Diana once said, "I'd like to be a queen of people's hearts." She didn't wear a crown that day in Sydney. She wore a blue dress and a smile. Her granddaughter wore the same smile. And for just a moment, just a shimmering, heartbreaking moment, the world remembered that some things don't fade. They just wait for the right dress. The past is never really past. It's just waiting for us to look up. Charlotte isn't Diana. She's her own story. But if you look closely, if you really look, you can still see her grandmother in the way she waves. And maybe that's the most beautiful thing a child can ever inherit. Not a title, not a throne, but a reflection.